Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit might not be heading to the playoffs, but they did send their fans home happy one last time at beating the Dallas Stars 6-4 in their home finale.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a sports writer for C&G newspapers, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University, ACHA D1 men's hockey. And before I get into anything, I just want to take a moment to thank Scotty for filling in for me for over a week while I was vacationing in Hawaii on the island of Maui. It was beautiful, by the way. By the way, Allison made a point to check in every morning to the beginning and the end of every episode, specifically to hear if you made a bold joke.
She's really my dog, dude. She Tigers first, listens to the Tigers show for entertainment purposes. That's a real one right there, man. I made it very apparent that she was allowed to watch the Tigers while you were there, but you were not allowed to associate with the Red Wings in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and they had so many early starts.
And was that the right call? The Tigers are winning,
absolutely.
And everyone loves them. The Red Wings are miserable and no one can stand them. I think I nailed it, and I should get paid for marriage counseling. I think I'm crushing it.
I'm sitting by the poolside getting notifications about the Montreal game, and I'm going, this is just going to ruin my mood. And I had to tuck the phone underneath the beach towel so I couldn't see it. But the Tigers were playing so early in the day in Hawaii. They were playing at 7:10 in the morning in Hawaii. So there was no reason not to watch them, especially because they were playing so well. The games are over by 9:30, and we go on about our day. So
dude, some
it worked
breakfast
out.
and ball, love that.
You got pictures. You saw proof that was
did.
what was happening.
I did.
Anyways, the Red Wings did win 6-4 in their home finale against the Dallas Stars. It was also Patrick Kane's 1300th game. And Scotty, I just want to hear from you your initial thoughts on this hockey game, because people haven't heard enough of your voice this last week on this win.
If you toughed out the last week of me alone while everyone was miserable, you deserve financial compensation. Honestly, my thoughts on this game, my first thought on this game was that was low intensity, I think is the word for it. There was barely any celebrating the goals. The atmosphere was, rightfully so, understandably so, I should say, completely zapped out of that place. The players were not, pushing super hard, playing super hard. I don't know. It's funny to compare. That is technically a regular season game that does matter, and it just definitely did not have the feel of an impactful regular season game. I talked about that a little bit on Friday's show too. The Lightning game I thought was pretty similar in that regard, but you won both of them, so that's good. I do appreciate, even if I'm coming on here and I'm low energy, whatever, that they are still they're still putting forth effort to grind out and try and win hockey games. It's not just completely rolling over, season is over, I'm not going to do anything. So that's honestly that was my thought the entire game, was just this is a super low energy hockey game. Again, they barely celebrated goals, dude. They were it was practice at certain points in the game, it looked like, but always going to appreciate a win.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to, is really just enjoy it. They got a win. I thought the game was fun, but I think that's more because of my own mindset than the game at hand. I thought the game did have a lot of exchanges of chances between two teams. I didn't feel like there was a lot of really good defense going on. Honestly, the Wings
Dallas
were
benched their arguably, maybe inarguably, their two best defensemen. So yeah.
Right. So it was just kind of a back and forth game, I felt, in scoring opportunities between both teams, that the Wings had a lot of opportunities in the offensive zone that kind of just missed the mark on the pass. across that would have set them up for a great chance.
Yeah.
And it just kind of just barely missed. But I just enjoyed this game mostly because of my own mindset. I was like, well, they're out of it, so if they win, that's fun. Winning is still fun. And if they lose, you're a little bit your lottery odds get a little bit better. So there's, in my opinion, no losing in this situation if you're a fan. Now, as a player, you still want to win. And you're right, they probably weren't so excited about scoring the goals. But I think there's a lot of players out there playing for pride, a lot of players out there playing for contracts, like guys whose contracts may be up and maybe don't want to get dealt / bought out. And on top of that, I think that there was definitely a sense of urgency or maybe a desire within the team to, win this game on it's your final home game of the year. Show the fans you appreciate it. And I would not be surprised if, of course, I don't know this, but I would not be surprised if that was a message in the locker room. It's like, guys, it's your final time here at LCA this year. Get the team the win, get the fans the win, send them home happy. And they did that. Of course, it wasn't a perfect game. There was, again, a lot of defensive lapses, but there was a lot of fun offense, too, and a lot of individual accolades that this team is currently pursuing between players, and I'm sure as fans we care more about that than the players do. But lots of things for us to root for occurred in this hockey game, which kind of brings me, Scotty, to the difference makers in this one. Who do you got?
Yeah, honestly, I think there's a few different. I was going to be really like grumpy old man, and my difference maker was going to be the benching of the players that the Stars chose not to dress in this game. But I'll play a little nicer. I really have a hard time not going with Seider when it's all said and done. 3-point night, fantastic. And in a game, like you mentioned, that kind of lacked defense at certain points, if not most points, having a defenseman that played really well and was producing on the opposite end of the ice too, kind of stands out more so than even usual. So, for me, I think it's never a bad thing if your best players end the season on a high note, even if the games mean nothing,
Yeah, and Seider was, we've sung the praises of Seider so much on this program because we really appreciate what is asked of him and how well he carries himself in that role, right? And this game was kind of like an exclamation point on that season for him, right? He played 23 minutes in this hockey game, both playing PP1 and PK2. He had a goal and 2 assists. That power play goal was just 2 seconds in, tic-tac-toe between, was it Larkin to Raymond to Seider on the point. Nice shot, just put it right underneath the blocker of Ottinger, I believe. Yes, Jake Ottinger for a second. I thought it was a backup. I don't know. Weird. But it was a great shot placement. It gives him 43 points on the year, Scotty, which is also his second highest point total since his rookie season when he scored 50, and with 2 games left, he can continue to build on that. So more is being asked of him again this year. Of course, if you look at his time on the ice against Elite, right, it comes down a little bit this year because he's playing more minutes, because you can only play so many minutes against Elite. He's playing more against middling, which is bringing the percentage down. I digress. But he's being asked to play even more minutes this season, and he's getting more points as a result. He's this team's best defenseman. If you look at hockey stat cards, he was one of the league's top 3 performers of the night. He is their 3rd best performer with a game score of 3.39. He's the Red Wings' best performer in this hockey game as well, according to that, and he's the Red Wings' best defenseman in Corsi for percentage, which is shot attempt share at 67.5%. So he's just back. We're so back. We're bringing advanced analytics.
Our listeners haven't heard the word Corsi in a week and a half, and we're so back.
I'm just using it to emphasize that point that even everything you saw on the ice is also supplemented by the advanced analytics. Like, he had a fantastic game. Not to discount what Ed did either as his partner, and I want to talk about that. I know you already touched on it last week, but their reunification is kind of important here. But the other difference maker, I think, is the other guy who got 3 points in this hockey game, and that's Lucas Raymond, a guy who has been pretty ice cold, right?
Yeah, man.
Assists their goal here or there, but not at the breakneck pace he was before the Stadium Series, before the Four Nations break. And in this game, he had 1 goal and 2 assists. Gives him 50 assists, actually 51 after the second assist on the season. The first time in his career he's had 50 assists on the year. And also continue to build on his career high point total, which is now sitting at 78 in 80 games played. So he's got an opportunity with 2 games left to finish out the season at 80 points or even possibly a point per game as well. So Lucas Raymond had a fantastic game. Moritz Seider had a fantastic game, and that's what you love to see as a team that's trying to grow, is your youth growing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%.
So we got to head to a break. Scotty, when we return, we'll talk about other notable performers from this hockey game. So stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings.
Going to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. You all know that I love the no shells variety. It is the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, well, the in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Which one of us is the one that's been off for a week there, Scotty?
Bang! That was good. That was a good one. I did the first half of my job and then not the second half, which was putting us back on screen. So,
segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are so back. Scotty, as far as notable performers go, obviously Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond as the difference makers stand out so much. Great pass by Lucas Raymond on Berggren's goal as well. At first, when I saw him pass, I was like, why didn't you shoot? And then Berggren buried it. I was like, okay, never mind. You're forgiven. Who else stood out to you in this hockey game, either good or bad, or not even just, doesn't have to be a person, right? It can be special teams?
A concept.
A concept?
No, I am going to stick with the player, actually. I thought Marco Kasper was really solid again. This is I think the biggest thing in these quote-unquote meaningless games here at the end of the season that is so apparent with him is that he has not let his foot off the gas and is continuing to be aggressive. He had 5 shots on net tonight. I'm pretty sure that led the entire team. Like, he is continuing to apply pressure and try and get pucks on net, and obviously had a fantastic game on Friday or Thursday, whatever, the Lightning game, Friday. And it just really seems like in a part of the season when a lot of people are playing less aggressive and are, again, it's kind of low energy hockey. He seems to be really not missing a beat at all, and is continuing to play really aggressive. And I mean, just the 1 point tonight with the assist, but I am really impressed with just how he is looking through 60 on a night-to-night basis.
All right, and my top notable performer here was actually the second line, but a lot of that has to do with because I'm constantly watching Marco Kasper for how his game has grown, and it's as the season comes to a close here, it's feeling more and more like the Detroit Red Wings may have found their second line, right? Kasper, as he gets more comfortable in that role, is helping fill out what that line desperately needed, which is a center who is a two-way responsible, which both Kopp and Comfer are, to be fair, but also has and I don't mean this as an insult to those two guys I just previously mentioned, but also has a pretty decently high skill ceiling. I'm not saying 30 goals, but a guy who can get into the corners, win the puck battles, but also drive to the net and create as well. And that's something that Comfer and Kopp couldn't really do with that second line, is help create opportunities for Kane and DeBrincat. And I think that he's been doing that so well. You look at that second goal, right? Of the game for the Red Wings. The one that DeBrincat scored is 37th on the season, closing in on 40, so we'll be watching that in the next 2 games. But, I mean, that was such a beautiful tic-tac-toe play between those 3 players, right? Kane gets it up to Kasper, who's dragging his foot as he crosses the line, who then drops it back to Kane, who plays it off. Beautiful play by Kane, too. Just playing it off his foot, and then, the no-look backhand pass through 2 Stars defenders to get it to DeBrincat. And you look at that and you go, that's the element that this team has been missing this line has been missing is a center who can create. Compher and Copper, both defensively responsible players. They can get in the corners. They can engage in those puck battles. The puck retrieval center, yeah, but they couldn't create like Kasper is doing, and he's just looked so good. So, I mean, that line as a whole, it's actually with how Kane's second half of the season has played out since McClellan has come on board. Like, I'm fully on board, and this is a topic for another episode, and bringing Kane back to keep that line together because that chemistry is quickly forming, and it looks so good. So, yeah, Kasper and that second line as a whole offensively can really shows a lot of flash, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you did a great job kind of breaking down the dynamic of why that line has the potential to work, right? Like you have offense, you have defense, you have guys that will go on the boards, you have guys that won't, obviously, right? Like there's a mix of kind of everything there, and I think that's probably why not only is it working lately, but why the Wings are probably hoping they can keep it together going forward.
Yeah, 100%. And I also think too that, and I know you touched on this last week because they reunited last week, but I thought Ed and Mo had a great game together as well. Yet again, in fact, the only two defensemen in the game that had a positive game score. I kind of shied away from shied away from game score for a little bit because they didn't have the game quality of time or quality of competition on there. So a lot of times it was based on like plus minus. If you were out there for a goal against, it highly impacted. It still does, but now they've incorporated those quality of time and quality of competition. And I think a lot of times now it matches up much better with what you're seeing on the ice. And so I've kind of gone back to it a little bit. And Seider, as I previously noted, was the best player on the Wings according to Hockey Stat Card's game score. Simon Edvinsson was the only other defenseman who was positive game score in this hockey game. And again, that goes along with what we were seeing on the ice. We saw that with the Derek Lalonde era, right? They got reunited very quickly, and they were a very good defensive pairing for the Detroit Red Wings. The issue is you didn't have a bottom four, and it turns out it just took Todd McClellan a little bit longer to figure out that that's probably still your only option. But when they're back together, they just look really dang good. Also, Simon Edvinsson keeps finding himself with the puck in the offensive zone. I don't know how he does it, but he's got a nose for like getting himself into
I'll take it.
Those areas.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about that a little bit on yesterday's show, and Edvinsson honestly got kind of undressed a couple of times in that hockey game. Was that whatever? They all blend together. One of the games. And it's one of those things where they were, like you mentioned, they were so good earlier in the year that now at this point, I mean, again, if you're truly just playing for development purposes, it kind of makes sense to just put them back together and be like, well, let's see if we can make this, super pair kind of work again. And we'll figure out the rest of the entire blue line this summer.
Right, and they're gonna have to. They're really gonna have to. Petrie's gonna be done. Yeah, they're gonna have to.
We did a whole episode while you were gone called, well, not literally called this, but the concept was basically who is playing their last games as a Detroit Red Wing, like the rest of the season, and yeah, a lot of that was on the blue line. Let me tell you.
Yup. Scotty, there's 3 other goal scorers in this hockey game that we have not touched on, and I want to touch on all of them all at once with this question. Of the 3 goal scorers, Tarasenko, Albert Johansson, and Johansson Berggren, which one made you the most happy to see score?
Wow. I think Aljo.
I was going to say the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his goal was just nice. Like that was a beauty. But I think, again, like at this point in the season, you're just so focused on like already looking ahead that the player of that group that you're kind of looking for, and you're like, oh, like who would it be really nice to maybe like carry momentum into next year if that's a real thing? Or like, who do I want to see end on a high note? Like it's the guy that is likely to still be a fixture in the lineup next season. And while, it's far from a guarantee that Berggren's going to leave, I think between Tarasenko and Berger and Aljo that, those two are kind of a step behind him in that regard. That's all.
Yeah, I was happy to see Berggren finish his opportunity on that nice feed from Raymond across zone. But yeah, I agree. It was Albert Johansson because, and I was just talking about how Simon Edvinsson tends to find himself the puck in the offensive zone, but Aljo's sneaky good with the puck. He's got a little bit of hands to him. He made a nice move in the offensive zone to create a shot opportunity, and he didn't miss his chance. I like Albert Johansson a lot. Obviously, for his defensive side of the game, that's going to be where he brings the most to the table. But seeing him score that goal definitely made me happy because of the same reasons you just said. Those of the three players I listed, this is the guy I think has the best chance of being a part of this team going forward long term. Of course, I'd love if Berggren could be part of that core too. But right now, with how Johansson's season has played out, he seems like a guy who's going to be a solid bottom pairing defenseman on this team.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we're going to do another break. When we return, we're going to do a segment that Scotty lovingly calls on Locked On Tigers and brought to Locked On Red Wings this last week, Stuff. So I'm stealing that from him. I thought it was clever because it's a lot of times at the end of these episodes, it's just stuff.
Actually painfully unclever, but I think that's why people like it.
That's fair. Fair point. Stay tuned. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty, stuff. What is the top of the list on your stuff category today?
Happy retirement to Keats, baby.
100%.
I don't know how that's not number one on everybody's mind. Honestly, that could have been like that probably was cared about more in this fan base than the result of the hockey game. I think that legitimately could have been what we kicked off the show with. Yeah, fantastic dude, fantastic career, has forever left a mark on the Detroit sports scene. Like legitimately, he is going to be remembered for a very, very long time, and is somebody that I think, like, legitimately, you're going to look through the cracks of Detroit sports history, and you're obviously going to talk about players, and you're going to talk about what's happening on the field and right now and whatnot. But you're also going to talk about Keats, and you're going to talk about, Mario and Rod, and you're going to talk about Ernie Harwell, and you're going to talk about, obviously, the Red Wings broadcast booth, which is widely considered to be the best in the sport. Like, there are people that transcend their job and transcend the sport, and I think John Keating certainly is that, has touched the hearts of many in this city for decades and decades. And yeah, man, wishing him nothing but the best. I know he wants to, spend time with his family and as he put it, enjoy the sunset in Michigan. So I hope that he's able to do that, because his mark that he left here is everlasting. Yeah,
I think it speaks volumes to his impact with this organization for the last 30 years, closing in on that, if not more. That at the end of the game, the Wings didn't salute the fans like they typically did. They saluted John Keating, and they made a point to mention that in the broadcast. It's like, look at where they're looking. They're saluting John Keating, who was down there, and they had a camera trained on him. That's how much he's meant to this. Everyone in Metro Detroit knows the name John Keating. He's done more than just Red Wings games, and he's been excellent at it. Top of the game for so long at the desk, right? And it's hard to imagine a Red Wings game broadcast without him, and especially when Chris Osgood came on board. Remember how awkward Ozzy was at first? It wasn't until he and Keating linked up that Osgood's personality really began to shine, and they've obviously quickly become quick frenemies on the broadcast. They're definitely friends, but they like to play it up a little bit for the broadcast, tease each other.
That sounds very familiar.
Right. They have their own podcast now too, as well.
They sure do.
So they are just, again, echo your sentiments. Wish him nothing but the best. He is a genuinely great human being, from my own personal accounts and from everything that I've heard from other people as well. All right, Scotty, next up on stuff is that the Detroit Red Wings broke the 3-goal rule as well in this game, the second time in a week, and I think it's only the third time or fourth time total since McClellan has come over to the Detroit Red Wings that they've broken his 3-goal rule, which, if you're for the uninitiated, means the team that scores 3 goals first tends to win most hockey games, and that was true for the longest time until the Red Wings blew that game against the Minnesota Wild, month and a half ago, where they lost in overtime. But in the last week, they've done it twice. Again, no impact on the game, but I thought that was interesting, which is why it's in the stuff category, that the Dallas Stars scored a shorthanded goal to give them a 3-2 lead, and the Wings scored 4 in the third to win the hockey game. Shades of last year, even though they're eliminated already.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear about that philosophy over the summer, because it's just interesting. Like, you look at the Habs game last week, and that was, we talked about it on that episode. It was like they went all in on the first, period and a half. And that doesn't mean that, like, the game plan is to just, like, sandbag and just, like, give up in the second half of the game, obviously. But, like, it's really hard, right, to play aggressive hockey for 60 minutes. And so I think that, being aggressive early and trying to win the race to 3 is, again, the analytics and the statistics say that is obviously something that's going to get the job done more times than not. But I'm just really interested in that's something they kind of go all in on over the summer, and we see moves and that's kind of a talking point in training camp and how they prepare for the season, now that they'll actually have an off season of preparation to learn and fully kind of develop in McClellan's system, or whether that's something that was just a fun stat for this year and we're going to forget about it. So, I think it's noteworthy for sure. I also really like how we're revamping the segments on this show 3 games before the season ends. That's really brilliant stuff by us, to be honest. That's stellar timing. I'm not going to lie.
It's your fault for doing such a good job while I was away. Tuning in and I go, hey, this sounds good.
Very much not true. And I've been doing stuff on the Tigers for 2.5 years now. So
yeah, but I don't listen to that. Who cares about the Tigers? A lot of they're good right now. I can't talk smack. Oh, I like the Tigers. I can't even finish that sentence with a straight face. Scotty, I also thought it, and again, this is going to be something nobody gives a crap about, but it's stuff. The Red Wings, with the 2 points, finish with 83 points. They haven't finished yet, but they have their 83 points on the season, which gives them a new age 500 record guaranteed, at least, because, 164 points in a season, 82 is 500. So over 500 points percentage on the year is guaranteed. Doesn't mean crap if you don't make the playoffs, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I think I think nobody in this fan base could possibly care less about that.
Absolutely.
And I think that this, it will be a part of like a statistic going forward. It'll be like, like they've been 500 or better, in X amount of seasons. Like it's going to be a part of one of those statistics, I think.
100%. And then finally, Patrick Kane's 1,300th game. I think I mentioned it earlier. So it was nice to see them win, not just the home finale, but his 1,300th game. That's honestly incredible. I know it just seems like, it's just a game milestone, but to play 1,000 games in the NHL is such a big deal that you get like a silver stick for it and a whole on-ice celebration in the pregame. Patrick Kane hasn't played 1,000. He's played 1,300 games at the NHL level.
And that's with A, just like his current age, but B, that's with an injury that people were like the media legitimately said, like people don't come back from this injury.
Right.
And he's also not only just playing, he's producing at like a point a game clip for, in the McClellan era. Like there's just so much. Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, he's played in this season 71 games now. So that's pretty great, especially coming off that injury. So, and like you said, if in the McClellan era, right, prorate that out, he's a point per game player on pace for, I think, the week before I left, he was on pace for like 90 points if you stretched out over 82 games, the McClellan tenure. So, yeah, he's been good. Congratulations, Patrick Kane. Keep it up. Hopefully we can have you back next year to help keep that power play humming. All right. Trying to think. I think that does it for stuff.
I think that's it for me, yeah.
So we have no game tomorrow night, or tonight by the time you're listening to this, so we'll do a different episode then, and then we got 2 games back-to-back to finish out the week and the season. So stay tuned for all of that. Any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
A lot of people were disappointed that you didn't say we balled at any point.
I know. Trust me. I'm aware.
Same time, same place. It's your team every day.